Hi, I'd like to talk about the Syrian deal reached at the UN. You know, when you look at this agreement between the US, Russia, and Syria, and the UN for control and disarmament of Syrian nuclear weapons, you're driven by one point, which is, why couldn't Obama have done that? Why couldn't he simply have gotten the Syrians to give up their weapons under threat of an American military strike? The answer is he didn't think of it. The answer is he never tried. There was never a clear understanding by Syria that Obama meant business. There was never an indication that he might intervene militarily. And he had basically to rely on Putin and the UN to make it work for him. In a real sense, the executive branch of American foreign policy now is Vladimir Putin, and the legislative branch is the UN Security Council. The President and the Congress have relatively little to do with it. Now that the U.S. has essentially rubber-stamped the agreement that Putin and Assad made, and the UN has adopted a use-of-force resolution saying that if the inspections reveal that they're not complying with the agreement, there'll be sanctions and potentially other consequences left unspecified. It's clear that the authorization to use force, if necessary, is going to come from the Security Council. What this, and Congress might or might not have to rubber-stamp it. What this essentially means is the transfer of the locus of decision-making about American foreign policy from Washington to the United Nations building in New York, and also to some extent to Moscow. But it really is what Eileen and I wrote about in our book, Here Come the Black Helicopters, that it is the goal of this administration to have the United States so blend into the international community that it becomes just one other nation in this with just one other vote, and that its superior military resources are essentially at the disposal of the global community to enforce its collective will, rather than American self-interest. And in this situation, the incompetence of the executive branch, Obama's inability to recognize the obvious opportunities for diplomacy, or to understand how to integrate diplomacy and force, like music and instruments in a symphony. Bismarck once said, diplomacy without force is like a music without instruments. His inability to do that has resulted in a default of American foreign policy. And we're now watching the one world government implement its will. Thanks for watching.